episode 54 of Off Script with Trish Glose, intimate interviews and fun conversations with interesting people. In front of my microphone today is Danielle Craig.
Thank you for having me.
Fellow podcaster.
Yes, I love podcasting, so I'm so excited to be here.
What's your official title, Danielle Craig?
Podcast host.
Podcast host. You're also a mama.
I'm a mom. Mm-hmm. I'm a wife. I'm a person.
You're a journalist.
I'm a journalist.
Yeah. I mean, you studied journalism. You've been a journalist for how long?
Almost 15 years.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, it's a long time.
I know. For me, do you consider... I think my college years, I was like a journalist in training.
So in college, my freshman year, got a reporting job.
Okay.
Very unusual. And then by the time I was out of college, I was working full-time in Salt Lake City as a reporter.
Okay.
So yes, I count those years because I was reporting.
I was a JIT, a journalist in training. I was dumb, and I think I would consider myself a journalist maybe when I started to doing stories that were more impactful than, a dance recital or something like that.
You know what? When I was in Salt Lake, I started out with some doozies.
I bet.
And so I was right off the bat, I had like 3 missing kids in a row. And they were things that mattered. I mean, when there's a missing kid, it's important to get that on the news and reach people.
ASAP.
And so people can have eyes on the streets.
Right.
So right away, I was doing stuff that was probably way more important than I even understood at that time.
Yeah, I take that back. Actually, I think my 3rd day here, they sent me to Klamath Falls for a murder trial. So,
yeah. But when you're young, you don't even understand the impact of journalism yet.
You're just like, yes, I'm going to a murder trial.
I got a story.
I know, I'm excited. All right, we're going to talk about journalism. We're going to talk about your podcast. Before I get to my first question that I like to ask everybody, I do want to say my boss, Chad Hypes, thinks you have the best podcast voice.
Thank you.
I'm a little annoyed because I'm like, hey, hello.
I have a podcast.
Yeah. What do you think about he goes, no, I'm not saying that. She has a really good podcast voice. And I'm like, thanks, boss.
I have a story. So when I was a kid, and I'll talk about moving all over the place, I hated my voice a ton because I'd be the new girl. It'd be the first day of school, and we'd all have to do the Pledge of Allegiance.
Right.
So my introduction to everyone was like my super deep voice, and I'd be like, I pledge allegiance. So I would purposely be like, I pledge allegiance to the flag.
And now
I hated it.
Well,
I was so embarrassed.
We're owning that deep, guttural voice that we have. Okay, Danielle Craig, where are you from originally?
All over the place. I was born in Oakland, but I can't really tell you a lot about Oakland because we moved every other year all over the country.
Why is that?
My dad's job. So part of it was first he was in the military, then he was in college, and then his job just took him everywhere.
Okay. What branch of the military?
He was in the Navy.
In the Navy. Okay. And so his job, what did he do that took him everywhere?
He ran different plants, so that it's way above my head.
But he would help open them?
He ran the plants. So we would move if there was a plant in distress, and he would need to either rehab it and make it better or make a decision to close it. Okay. So in some of the places where he made the decision to close it, like upstate New York, we were there for 6 months, and then we moved again.
Oh, wow.
And so we'd be somewhere for a year, and then we'd move.
That's tough.
I know. Yeah, it was hard.
I mean, you're a little kid moving all over the place.
Yeah.
Okay.
All over the place. I mean, all the way from kindergarten was the first time we moved, all the way to high school.
Wow. Where was the longest place you guys lived?
I think the longest place was actually the Portland area, Clackamas.
Okay.
Clackamas, Milwaukee area. But we still, within that time, were moving around the city. So, and I was moving schools because it was those transition years between 6th, 7th, 8th. So even then, I didn't get to have,
that's hard.
A long run at a school.
That's really hard. I can kind of relate. I didn't move around a lot, but I moved middle schools. All my friends went to this one. I went to the other one.
Yeah.
Halfway
middle school's hard.
Yeah. Oh gosh, super hard. Halfway in high school, I moved from South Carolina to Las Vegas.
Yeah.
I mean, as a 16-year-old, I will say this: it's tough, but it gives you a backbone. It creates some serious character.
And I think it taught me a lot about myself, and that it didn't matter that much if I had friends in one place because I had friends back in the other place.
Totally.
And I understood that opinions were just opinions. A little bit more. I mean, it was still hard because junior high and high school is a hard time.
Totally.
But I think I understood it a little bit more than I would have if I would have just stayed in one place.
Okay.
Because those, the 500 people that I'd gone through all school, I would have put all of my, hopes and dreams into what they thought about me.
Totally.
Whereas I didn't have to worry about that.
Right.
Yeah, I just kept moving.
Do you find that you can pretty much talk to anyone?
Yeah, I don't really have
I
a
have
hard
that same
time
problem.
talking.
Yeah.
It's a problem sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes people love it.
My
Most of the time
husband's
people
like,
hate it.
he goes, "You've never met a stranger. Everybody
Yeah.
you meet is a buddy of yours." I'm like, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My husband hates it in the grocery store line. He'll be like, "Why are you talking to this person? They don't want to be bugged. They don't want to be bugged."
And you're like,
"Are you
"Nuh-uh,
sure?
they
I think
do."
they want to chat."
I'm really curious about what they have in their cart, so I want to know about it. Did you grow up with siblings?
Yes, I have 4 little siblings.
You're the
I'm
oldest.
the oldest.
Okay.
I know you have thoughts about that. You just made a lot of decisions about
I'm
me.
not. Nope. I have been called out. People are saying stop stereotyping
Older
siblings and younger, the baby, the oldest. So I'm not going to do it anymore.
Unfortunately, I'm like exactly what you would expect from an older sibling.
Overachiever.
Overachiever.
Okay. See, I'm right.
go.
I'm just telling you. Younger siblings, all girls, boys, mixture.
Me, girl, and then 3 brothers.
Oh, okay. That's a big family.
It is a big family.
Okay.
It's chaos.
Good chaos?
It depends on the day.
Do y'all get along?
I mean, now we do.
Yeah.
When we were kids, sometimes there was a lot of yelling.
Mm-hmm.
Now we get along. Now it's really fun. Now it's like having, I mean, really, we actually have said this our whole lives, that it was like having 4 best friends. So when we were moving all the time, we were like, we're okay. We're starting
Yeah.
out with our 4 best friends.
Absolutely. What's the age difference? Is it?
It's almost 2 years between each of us.
Oh, that's
Yeah, there's one with
perfect.
3. Yeah.
Nice, nice. Okay, so what were you like in high school? Student body president?
I wasn't the president, but I was the secretary. I was
Makes a lot of sense,
I
Danielle.
was in every single leadership position possible. I was
No.
I was the yearbook editor.
Okay.
I was the treasurer of the drama team. I was the vice president of the National Honor Society.
Nice.
Older sibling.
See, people, I'm right.
All of that. I think there were like 3 more clubs I was in that I took a leadership position just to have the leadership position.
Yeah.
Because I just loved it.
It sounds like you knew what you wanted to do in high school. Okay, you knew you wanted to go into news?
News. I was a 3rd grader when I made that decision.
Really?
So we moved to Portland, and all we had unpacked was like it was a handful of things, but all I had to use was a box. And so I sat in this box and I watched the TV. You know, the box must have had the TV in it. Anyway, so I sat in this box and I watched TV, and it wasn't connected to anything except for ABC, NBC, CBS. And all I did was watch the news. And I was like, oh my goodness, I love this. I could do
Interesting.
this. And so at some point my mom had to cut me off because it was a little scary. You know, news can be scary for kids. But I would babysit, and I would be so excited for babysitting because every Friday night I would go babysit, put the kids down, watch 2020, and that's what I did.
I remember 2020.
Yeah, Barbara Walters days.
Huge. Barbara Walters, yes.
So my whole 3rd grade on, my eyes were on journalism.
Yeah.
That's it.
I was a big fan of Joan London. Good Morning America.
Yeah.
I just thought I wanted to be her. I don't know if 3rd grade, I think you were ahead of me in that respect, but high school for sure. I was like, yeah, this is exactly what I want to do. I think with a lot of folks who are in this business, in this industry, we're all nerds like that.
Yeah. Isn't that funny?
We know at a very young age, this is exactly what I want to do.
Yeah, I think you're right.
The roles changed. You know, I thought I wanted to be a producer at first, and then I was like, nope, don't want to be a producer. And reporting, I absolutely fell in love with.
Reporting is the best because, especially if you like to talk to people, you get to talk to people. You get to see the real human condition and so many sides of every issue.
And you get to ask them questions that really no one else is allowed to ask them. But
Yeah.
because you have this job, you're like, sorry, I got to ask it. It's my job.
And they give you a pass sometimes to ask the question. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes they're mad.
Sometimes, yes. Well, I mean, I wouldn't say we have to be jerks, but we have to, our whole job, we're truth seekers. That's what, and we're storytellers.
And I think the unusual thing about being a journalist, especially now, is that you have to have an understanding of where the person's coming from. So sometimes you ask really hard questions to get to that understanding, which is amazing because we're not doing that on a regular basis in our world anymore.
Right.
We're just judging.
For sure. And I think as a journalist too, one of the most important questions you can ask is, you know, paint me a picture of what this is like, because we have viewers at home that they don't know what that's like, and it's our job to connect them to the story.
I love journalism so much I have goosebumps.
I know.
Because it's so powerful. It's
really-
so amazing.
Good journalism.
Good journalism.
Good journalism. And we're going to talk about that a little bit. Bob Hunter from the Mail Tribune, he and I talked about in a previous podcast that really anyone, sadly, can be a journalist these days. He said it can be some, you know, low life in his mom's basement, just finding news and putting it out on social media and boom, you're a journalist.
I know,
It's like, no.
It's scary.
It really is scary. So you decide in third grade you want to go into news, and your path takes you along there through high school. You go to college. Do you go to a specific school for this?
So I started out writing news stories about coloring book pages, which I would present as news. Like,
stop it.
The teddy bear crossed the road to get to the turtle. I kid you not. So that's what I started out doing. And then in junior high, we lived in upstate New York, so I begged my parents to take me to the museum. You heard of the museum? Of course you have. Mm-hmm. And they have a little setup where you get to be a journalist. And I had heard of this, and that's all I wanted to do. And we went, and I did the little setup, and I walked through the halls and looked at the things, and I was just like in tears.
Disneyland.
It was really like a Disneyland for me. And then college, and then I did the yearbook. And then in college, I went to BYU, studied journalism, and right out the gate was practicing journalism. And I worked in Salt Lake, then I went down to Las Vegas, and then I came here.
Right. So why BYU?
I always had my eyes set on BYU.
Okay.
That was my plan.
They have a really good journalism program.
They do have a really good journalism school. When I was there, it was one of the top in the country.
Wow. Awesome. And then you worked in Salt Lake. Mm-hmm. So you said you had a reporting job in school.
Yes.
Okay.
So first they had a FM radio station, so I reported for that. And it wasn't, I know a lot of schools have the students reporting, and it wasn't a student reporting kind of job. It was, there were like 3 students and everyone else they were all adults and we were all working among them. It was pretty scary. So I did that job first, and then I went up to work at KSL News Radio, so it was still radio. And then I went down to Las Vegas to work for the NBC affiliate there, behind the scenes producing, and then I really wanted to get on camera, so came here.
Right. In school, I know for my journalism program, they sort of taught us radio first, just tell the story through sound and just words versus pictures. Was that the same for you guys, or did
I think we really focused on TV. There was a little tiny aside, like, oh, do the radio project, but really it was a TV focus.
Yeah, my professor, Travis Lynn, mentor professor, he died probably more than a decade ago. But he started in radio in Dallas, and just that was his thing, is he wanted his journalism students to learn how to tell a story with sound and words. It's huge, and I think
there's
that's
a huge difference between kids who never got the opportunity to learn that.
Agreed.
Yeah, I was super mad about taking that first radio job. I was like, should I do it? Should I say no? Should I do it? Should I say no? And it was because I was like, I don't want to do radio, so should I say no? But I learned so much from that radio job.
Right.
And same with the producing. Working behind the scenes is so valuable to understand how news is put together.
Well, that's my biggest gripe with reporters now. You know, when I see a picture of a dog barking, but I don't hear anything, I'm like, what's happening?
Where's that natural sound?
Right. And if you're listening or watching this podcast and you see a news story and you don't hear things, you should be concerned and upset.
Yeah.
I mean, that's part of the news experience.
It's part of the storytelling. Take somebody there.
Yeah. We call it nat sound in the business.
Nat sound, yeah.
Natty sound in the biz. So how was reporting in college? I think that would have been very overwhelming.
It was overwhelming. I was way out of my league in every single situation that I was in. I had hardly any idea what I was doing, but I just kept doing it and kept trying and kept going to press conferences and raising my hand and asking a question in front of all of these seasoned journalists, feeling like an idiot, but doing it anyway. It was terrifying. Absolutely terrifying.
Right. Well, and I mean,
and my stuff definitely wasn't as good as everybody else's.
Yeah. You're a kid. You're a journalism student.
Right out of school.
Right.
It was funny because I would have coworkers who would go out to the bars and stuff, and I was like, have fun, guys. I'm not 21.
That's really cute.
I actually did a story and I had somebody tagging along with me to show them how to be a reporter, and it was in a bar. And so I went in and I was interviewing, or I was bringing in the person. She said, oh, sorry, she can't come along because she's not 21. And I was like, okay, sorry, you're not 21. Sit there. I'll be back.
Nice. That's pretty good. So you apply for jobs everywhere or after school?
Every time it was I knew exactly where I wanted to go. So out of Salt Lake, I took a little break and I did some substitute teaching to finish up school. And so that was probably like a year. And then I wanted to go to Las Vegas. My now husband, then boyfriend, lived there. So my eyes were on Vegas. I just moved to Vegas, hoped for the best. And I applied to every single station in Las Vegas and got no jobs because my camera reel was a reel that I made up. Like,
Same.
you've done that? Like standing outside of a bank being like, this bank has been robbed.
Oh, you're making up stories for that reel. It's true.
It's hard.
It's true.
And it's not anything that goes over, I want everyone to know, it's not anything that goes over the news. It's just to get a job.
Yeah.
So we did that, and nobody wanted to put me on camera, obviously. I was just a kid. And then I'm like, okay, I got to go somewhere. I got to get on camera, because at that point I was serving at a restaurant. And so I finally decided that I would just apply to a job. I applied to a job in Idaho Falls. I got the job, and I was just about to fax my contract to them. And I'm sitting I go into Kinko's. That was back in the day of Kinko's.
This is like deja vu for me right now.
I'm standing in front of the fax machine with this contract, knowing that I'm going to have to leave my husband for then boyfriend, 2 years. Are we going to work out? I don't know. I'm crying. I'm just so distressed. I leave the fax machine. I go outside and I sit on this really busy road in Las Vegas on the sidewalk and just like cry. And then I get this phone call from one of the stations there, and they're like, hey, we have a producing job. Are you interested in it? And I was like, yes.
That's amazing.
And literally seconds between taking a job and getting that job offer. And so they didn't even interview me. They just hired me. Yeah, sometimes that you can get desperate for producing jobs, even in a top 50 market. So I took that job and had no idea what I was doing, but figured it out.
It's so funny that you say that. First of all, talking about a reel, I have one of my stand-ups on my reel. I'm wearing a blazer and the sleeves are rolled up. And I'm like, it was in this neighborhood where I don't remember the rest of it. It was completely made up. Just made it up. When I got the job in Medford, I was in Kinko's and they faxed me the contract.
Wow.
And I'm looking at it, and it's a 2-year contract, and I called my mom in tears, and I said, I'm going to be 24 when this contract ends. Aww. And I was so sad. And she's like, what are you doing? Sign the contract, get your butt in your car, and go pack up your stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, when you're 22, 23, it's all kind of scary.
Very scary.
Really scary. But you got this job as a producer in Las Vegas. And for those who are listening, and producers essentially create the newscast. It's all up to you.
Right, all the news. It's scary. It's a big job.
You write the news for the anchors who read it. Yeah.
And because I was already working when I went through college, and my professors loved me. I was like the golden child of the journalism program.
Of course.
I wasn't sucking up or anything. They gave me a pass on all the producing classes. So I didn't really ever take a producing class.
Gotcha.
I was already working. And so sitting down, looking at these rundowns, I had no idea even where to start, what to do. And I just kind of faked my way and figured it out.
Right. Well, that's what we do, right?
Yeah.
We just do it. If we have an obstacle in front of us, we get over it. Not around it. You just go right through it. You just have to.
Yeah.
How long were you in Vegas?
3 years, about 3 years.
Okay.
Maybe close to 4.
You're applying to jobs. Was it, we're going to Medford next?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We made a decision to come to Medford. My husband had worked for Lithia in Reno. So he was, so he'd been here for job trainings, and I loved the Pacific Northwest because of my time in Portland. So we decided we're looking at Medford, and we looked at the days that were cold, the days that were hot. I still remember being like, hey, we found the spot. They're not too hot, not too cold.
Nice.
And so
Goldilocks weather.
Yes, exactly. And so we decided, okay, Medford, we're all in.
And you want to be on TV.
Medford.
You want to be
TV.
on air journalist. You apply to all of the stations in Medford. I know you applied here because I interviewed you.
Yeah. Isn't that fun?
And then you dissed me and went to the competition.
I got offers from all 3 stations, and it came down to the position, because I'm like, I'm going to go there and I'm going to live there for 2 years and then I'm going to leave. And this position, I think,
I don't remember.
I think it was reporting, only reporting.
Yeah.
And then there was another one that was only anchoring, and then there was one that was anchoring and reporting. So
and that's what you went for.
I'm going to do anchoring and reporting, understand news more, and then move on.
Okay. You started at KDRV doing what?
Anchoring. I anchored the 11 o'clock newscast. And then I would turn stories in the earlier part of the day.
Okay. You were there for a while.
Yeah.
How long?
I think it was 8 years.
Wow. Awesome.
Was it? I think it was 8 years.
Yeah. And obviously good times at KDRV.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of learning happened. A lot of growing happened. And I definitely didn't plan to be here for 8 years. And then also like not leaving now, but we just love it. It's beautiful.
I mean,
it's everything.
Look who you're talking to. It's
Same deal.
17 years in June. I think you just, you get here with an idea. I'm going to move up. I'm going to Portland next. And then after that, I don't know, maybe I'll live in Portland for the rest of my life. I mean, I had all of these.
You have a track in mind.
Yeah. And then life happens.
Yeah.
And you just find your path, and that's what you stick to. Yeah. You moved up within KDRV. So you started anchoring the 11, but then what was next? Was it the morning show? Okay.
And that's what I wanted. I just wanted to be a morning anchor. I believe wholeheartedly in morning news.
Same.
and so that's what I wanted to do, and I got the opportunity to do that. It was incredible. I loved anchoring that morning show.
Yeah. There's something about morning news. I loved being a part of people's morning routine, getting ready with them.
It's the only time in the day. It's the only time in your 24 hours that you don't know what's going on because you were just sleeping, hopefully for 8 hours. But you were just sleeping. You just woke up. It's the only time that you need someone in your ear telling you, hey, this is going on. This is going on. Not an update, but like this is happening right now.
Yeah. And I'm not saying this because I'm a CBS affiliate, but I love CBS This Morning. It is one of the best morning shows because it's actual news. There's no fashion shows. There's no cooking segments. It is true news, long form interviews. And I just absolutely love it. I feel smarter after I watch it. And I'm not just saying this because I'm a CBS affiliate, but I think people should be watching news programs like that. There's very little editing that goes on in these interviews.
It sets up your day for you to be the smartest person in the room as you go throughout your day.
Agreed. I mean, I come into the morning meeting here and I'm like, did you guys see this on CBS this morning? Did you see this? Did you see this? Yeah. We should be localizing these stories.
Right.
Okay, so you decide to leave KDRV. Why?
Oh my goodness, there's so many reasons. So every time I answer this question, it sounds like a different answer, but it's just because there were so many different parts of my life kind of unfolding at that moment. Sometimes, and you've heard me in this conversation talking about how much I love journalism. So why in the world would I walk away from journalism? I think sometimes, like when you get into a relationship, you have all of these hopes and dreams and you are like, this is the guy, I know we're going to get married and this is what the potential is there. I think that what was happening for me in my career was not reaching that potential. So just like with a boyfriend who you see like, okay, the potential is there, but we're not on the same path to get to the potential. You need to back out. I think the same thing. So I had made the decision that I would leave that job, but I wasn't exactly sure if I would continue in another city or another station, what I would do. But I then had what I call my wake up year, in which every single member of my family went to the hospital for some different reason.
Yikes.
Yeah, it was a scary year. It was an expensive year.
I bet.
That we're still paying. But the scariest one of all was when my husband he passed out in the kitchen and I grabbed him and he'd had all these health issues going into it. And so like the year or 2 years before. So I thought these were like final moments. And so I'm pulling him flat. I'm getting ready to do CPR.
Oh my goodness.
I'm like running through everything in my head. And he was fine. He came to, and I already had 911 on the line. So I was like, you know what, send the paramedics just in case. So the paramedics came and they hooked him up to all the machines and they're like, you're a healthy guy. You look fine. Da, 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 da. And then all of a sudden he passed out again and the machines flatlined and for 8 seconds, his heart did not beat. And I'm standing there like, oh my gosh, like, it's so weird to describe a moment like that because it's like you have no thoughts at all, but all of the thoughts at all, like every single thought you could possibly have. And what I realized is like, I gotta like stop. One of my big things is, and you can tell from how I've talked about achieving, like that's something that drives me. Like I love achieving. And I need more and more and more to be happy. And I realized like, I need to slow down a little bit, be okay with where I am now instead of always having to chase something more to be happy. I need to be happy right now where we are. And thankfully he's okay now. He's doing well. But
Do they
that
know
moment.
what happened? What was going on?
The real solution for him, he's gonna hate it if I say this. Maybe I won't go into a real solution. But it was like the perfect timing of things happening. So like not eating enough sodium. And the cardiologist told him, like, I can't believe I'm gonna tell you this, but you need to eat sodium.
More
you
salt.
need more salt
In your
I've
diet.
never said this before.
Wow, really?
And so it was that, and there were a handful of other things. His heart rate is pretty low. So when he passed out, instead of going lower, well, it did go lower, but lower for where his heart rate was 0.
Right. Was stress an issue for him?
The cardiologist never said that as part of like why this happened.
Okay.
But
And he's better now?
yeah, he's doing well now.
Good.
Yeah, he's worked on some of the things that he needs to do, get his heart rate up, making sure sodium's in there. Yeah.
Okay. And you guys have how many kids?
We have 3 kids.
3 kiddos. Ages?
We have 7, 4, and a baby, 6 months.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
That's a handful.
It is a handful. And it's crazy. It's totally crazy.
So you decide, were you still working at KDRV at this time?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. So this was like 6 months before I was going to leave. I had already planned that I was not going to re-sign a contract. But I was telling my husband like days before, like, I'm not happy. Like, this isn't working for me. Like, not with him, because I love him. He's my high school sweetheart. I adore him in every way. But like, I just wanted more. You know, it was that more mentality, that more was going to make me happy if we live here, if we do this, or if I have this job, or et cetera, et cetera. And so I had that conversation literally days before this happened. And I think I made that correlation so quickly because I'd been complaining just days before. And so, yeah, that was my, okay, what do I need to do to fix my life? And I started doing different things like meditating, and like I then ran a marathon, and all of these different things kind of opened my mind and like my brain into what was going on in the world. And I realized so many people are living in like, you know, a hamster wheel. We're just going, but feeling like we're not making any progress or moving. And so that's when I was like, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to talk about finding more joy in your life, regardless of where you are. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad, but you got to find the joy. Because if I couldn't even find the joy when things were totally perfect, that's a problem.
Yeah.
I have my dream job. I married my dream husband, who I like chased into marrying me. At that time, I had 2 kids. I love them so much, but I couldn't even find the joy. There's a problem with that.
Right. Podcast, was that instantaneous for you? Or was it like, I will do a podcast?
Came together. And I didn't really know a lot about podcasting at first, and I just kind of rolled into it as I started listening to podcasts to, you know, uplift myself. And then before I left, it was October. So 2 months before I left, I started the podcast, and here we are today.
Right. How long have you been doing it?
So what is that? Almost 2 years.
Okay. Okay.
About a year and a half, probably.
And it's called Happiness and Progress.
Yeah.
Where can people listen to it?
Anywhere you can listen to a podcast.
Okay.
It is everywhere. It's on the Mail Tribune's website, which is really easy for people.
Yeah.
But also iPhones have a little podcast button. It's a purple button.
Well,
you can ask Siri to listen.
Yeah, Apple podcast app. You can ask, if you have an Alexa app, you can ask, at least for Off Script, you can ask Alexa to open up Off Script for you. But you have this podcast, you've been doing it for 2 years, Happiness and Progress. What have you discovered?
I think the biggest thing, and I talk to so many people. I talk to people who are like at the heights of their career. I've talked to people who are at the worst of their lives, dealing with really hard circumstances. And in that entire, and people in between, who are just kind of going. And in that whole range, I've learned it comes back to gratitude. For every single one of those people, they say gratitude matters to me. Gratitude makes a difference for me.
Being grateful for
what there is to be grateful for.
Okay.
Literally anything. So in the worst case scenarios, you're finding places of gratitude throughout the day. So in some cases, it's been people who've had kids in the hospital room, and they've said, we found laughter and we laughed. And that was what we were thankful for that day. And in best case scenarios, it's really easy to find things that you can be thankful for.
Well, do you feel like too, when you have happiness and you have joy in your life, that obviously oozes out everything else? You're kinder to people, you're happier with your children and your family, you're not as grouchy and grumpy. I mean, is that what you've seen with all of this?
Yeah, for sure. I think that as you bring that in, and it's the gratitude more than the joy, because you can say, oh, I choose joy, I choose joy, I choose joy, but not exactly be happy. But if you're in a situation where your kids are driving you insane and they're like running away into parking lots and like goofing around on the baseball field and crying because they won't take a bottle,
Right.
which was yesterday, all those things can happen. But in it, you can be like I get to be here and live in my life, and I'm breathing and I'm watching with my eyes. And like, I've got this little kid who is hysterical, like dangerous, but hysterical. I mean, there's so much to be thankful for in that moment. Like, I get to sign my kids up for baseball.
Right.
You know, all these little things can help it not seem like the end of the world when the overwhelm hits, when life hits. It's easier to find the happiness.
Right. I interviewed an architect a few weeks ago, and we were talking about Medford water and how awesome it is, and how people around the country, if they ever visit here, they just say, man, this water is so amazing. And every single day when after that hot shower, I'm just like, man, that's a luxury. Yes, water is such a luxury. Good water is such a luxury.
I have goosebumps again, because I think this is important too, because we're not thankful for water. When was the last time you said, I'm thankful for this water? I actually before I left the station, I had a coworker who was having a really hard time, and I stayed like hours late to talk to him about his life, and he was like, I have nothing to be thankful for right now. And then he took his water bottle and he drank out of it. And I was like, what are you drinking right now? Where did you get that? He's like, no, it's not even special water. I just went to get the drinking fountain. I was like, you have the ability to go to the drinking fountain and fill up your water bottle and drink that clean, fresh water.
Totally.
That is a luxury.
It is a luxury. The fact that you and I can get up and walk out of this room and walk on our two legs is, in my opinion, we're lucky, because there's a lot of people who don't have that luxury, I guess.
I mean, to all the things we can breathe. We're breathing without the help of machines.
Right.
We're looking at each other. Right. We're talking with our voices.
These are not things I can see you. Yeah.
Not everybody gets these things. We take them for granted.
We really do. And I think now I have goosebumps. This is a very goosebumpy podcast. I think you're right. If we really do stop and look at the things that are around us in life, even if we are down on our luck or things are hard right now, there's a lot to be thankful for.
And I saw that a lot in news, the perspective, because I would have the one kid who runs away. I remember one day I had my kid running away all over the place, getting into everything, getting everything out. It was terrible. It was horrible. I was, the worst mom ever, worst life ever.
Right.
And then I went and I talked to this woman who had this kid who the doctor said would never be able to walk, never be able to talk, never be able to go to school. And she said he was being put in a therapy that was going to help him walk. And she said, what I would give to let my kid get in trouble by himself. And I was like, oh my goodness. Yeah. I've got to get perspective on this.
That hits you in the feels right there. I know. Yeah. Look around and definitely be thankful for the things that are around you. Is your podcast, is it like weekly? Okay.
Weekly. Yeah. So I'll do weekly. Sometimes I'll do 2 a week, but mostly it's 1 a week, and usually 3 interviews a month, with one of just kind of a thought or an idea I have that I'll kind of chat about.
Awesome. What's the feedback you're getting from people? What are you hearing?
Oh my goodness, it's so cool, because you know what it's like to be on TV. You go out and people are like, oh, I love you. I watch you on TV. I watch you on TV. You get that a lot. Now when I see people, they cry. Now when I see people, they're like, you made such a difference to me. Like, I don't know if you know this, but I'm dealing with this. I've had strangers come up and be like, I've been listening to your podcast. And I'm like, oh my goodness.
I know.
Thank you for listening to my podcast.
I get that, yeah.
This podcast is so much different than being on TV. And because they have to like seek you out and choose you on the app and
listen to you for the entire whatever,
they're long.
Half hour, exactly.
And it's just so meaningful that I feel like I'm making a difference in individual lives and how they see themselves, how they're dealing with hard things. And I think that's really special. I think it's really cool.
It is really special. It's amazing. You're making a difference at the end of the day.
One episode that I did, and sometimes they're they're tough episodes, they're hard episodes to talk through, and you don't have to listen to all of them if some of them make you uncomfortable. But I talked to one woman about suicide. She'd lost her dad to suicide, and after that, I had 3 messages of people who were like, I have a problem and I'm going to get a counselor. And I was like, oh my goodness.
That gives me goosebumps
3 people.
Like, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Again, you're making a difference.
But I also talk about practical things like sugar. Eating sugar impacts your mood. I mean, things that are, not as heavy and hard.
Right, right.
It doesn't have to be heavy every time, but things that are practical you can bring into your own life easily.
Yeah. Sugar's bad.
I know, it's so crazy.
It's so bad.
I know.
I'm working right now to get rid of sugar in my diet, and I'm grumpy.
I know.
I need to find some happiness in something else.
Yeah. Well, you know what I've determined is that you just need the one thing that you can indulge in. And it doesn't have to be a food, but it can be a moment where it's only you and you're indulging in it, and that's fine. I think that's a really good place to go to for
a good point.
Trying to get off of something.
That's a very good point. So I was going to ask you just fun TV stuff, because viewers come up to me a lot and they're like, hi, I watch you, whatever. And they're always like, do you get recognized a lot? So do you get recognized a lot?
Yeah.
It's fun, huh?
Yeah, it is fun. It is fun.
Sometimes.
Well, it depends on if they're mad or not.
True.
My favorite was, or is, when little kids will come up, which doesn't really happen anymore, but the little kids will come up and be like, I watch you on the news. My mom has you on every morning.
Right.
That just I just love that.
We did a high school fair, and it was all these high schoolers from, Northern California, all over Oregon, from the coast. And there was a girl who came up to me, and she was freaking out. And she's just like, oh my gosh, you're Trish Glose. And I was just like, that's adorable. I mean, she was 16. Yeah. And I'm like, why are you watching the news?
I know. I remember being on the other side of that.
Right.
And so I think that's why it makes me so excited.
For sure. Yeah. I get really excited.
And you get to be a role model. I think that's really cool.
Yeah. I can look at her and say, you want to do this? This is what you need to do. Yeah. You got to be smart and show up at school and show up in life. And yeah, you can absolutely do this. I don't like to be recognized when I haven't showered and I haven't brushed my teeth and I'm buying the econo-sized toilet paper at Albertsons, and they're like, Trish Glose. It's like, oh man.
Oh, people know me as such a not fancy person, I feel like, because I do the morning show, I'd get home, wipe all my makeup off, put it up in a hair thing, exercise, and then go do all my errands.
Yeah.
As a big sweaty mess. So now when I run into people for a second time, especially if I have makeup on, they'll tell me, I remember when I ran into you and you had no makeup on and you were like, ignore the makeup.
Yeah, you're like, thanks. I appreciate that.
Awesome.
I know. My husband's always like, we're just going to go to fill in the blank. And I go, no, I will run into 8 people I know, 3 people who watch me on the news. No, I got to brush my hair. And
always, yeah.
A little bit of makeup, please. All right, we're going to wrap things up a little bit and get to the final 3, which I did prep you on. I was a good journalist. Best advice you've ever been given?
I've been thinking a lot about this because I have been given practical advice. And of course from my parents, watch the ball, I don't know, brush your teeth. But their best advice to me was not so much words as it was actions, the hard thing to do. They were the ones who they're super motivated, they're super giving. And so they never had to say to me, be a motivated person or care about other people, because I just watched them do it. And so the advice that would have mattered, and I'm sure it came out in words at times from them, but it was watching them. It was watching my dad go through college with 4 kids and a preemie. It was watching my mom bring a woman off the streets into our home because it was snowing outside and giving her a place to sleep. I mean, that's the stuff that made a difference to me, less of the words.
Yeah.
That backed them up. And that's the hard part.
They walked the walk and not just talked the talk.
That's the thing we all try to do. It was very hard to do. They just did it.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Who was the preemie?
My little brother.
Oh, man.
Yeah. It was scary. He was born 3 months early.
Oh, my goodness.
I know.
That is scary.
We didn't even, I at the time, I think I was 8, didn't even understand exactly how scary it was. Ronald McDonald House, we did the whole thing.
Wow. And he's fine now.
Yeah, he's fine.
He's great.
He's about to graduate school, and he's got lots of cool programs and projects he's got working on. So
what's his name?
Jordan.
Go Jordan.
Yes.
That's awesome. If you ever left this place, Southern Oregon, what would you miss the most? What would bring you back here?
I would miss the people and the fall. I know I'd miss the fall because I've been without the fall. In Las Vegas, I missed the fall. And here the fall is just, it's incredible. That would be what was tugging at my heart always.
Yeah. What is it specifically about the fall that you love?
The colors, the crisp air, just the smell of fall. It's incredible.
Yeah. I love that I can pull out my boots again.
Yeah, and look cute.
Yeah.
Scarves. I mean, we did that in Las Vegas, but like no one was buying it.
No.
We know how hot it is. Why are you wearing the boots?
Right. Oh man, the heat in Vegas. Good grief. I remember going from my job at Chili's when in college, summer there, running to my internship at the news station and just sweating buckets
What
in the car.
station did you intern at?
I interned at the ABC affiliate.
Oh, yeah.
I can't think of the call letters. Is it
KTVB? Maybe?
KTVN? Yeah, I'm not sure.
KTVN.
Yeah, KTVN.
yeah.
Yeah. So I worked there for a summer.
That's cool.
I know. Well, that's what we had in common when I interviewed you because I was like, oh, I went to high school in Vegas and interned there. And so, anyways, that's another podcast.
That was fun.
If you ever given a final meal and a final drink, what would that look like?
This is the worst answer to this on all of your podcasts.
I doubt it.
I would get wings, like a whole bunch of wings, like 40 wings.
Chicken wings.
Chicken wings, and not the flat kind. I think Buffalo Wild Wings actually calls them flats. I get the flat kind with the 2 bones.
Not the little drumettes.
No.
Okay, right.
Don't like those.
The flat wings.
A whole bunch of blue cheese and Diet Coke.
That's not bad at all. That's awesome.
So embarrassing.
I just
But
had
it's true.
Brie Malarkey on, and she said she's vegetarian.
Yeah.
So she says as long as there's melted cheese and water,
Oh, that'd be good though. Melted cheese.
fine. She's fine. So I have to ask with the chicken wings, are they fried?
They're just regular I think they're fried.
Like buffalo, like spicy.
It's just the honey barbecue.
honey barbecue. Because there's a lot of chicken wings out
Yeah,
there.
there are. And there's a lot of flavors, but I only do honey barbecue.
Okay. Would you
So if there's not honey barbecue, I look for barbecue.
Okay. Would you consider yourself a connoisseur of chicken wings?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, when we moved here, there was a problem. It's a little bit better now. Actually, I don't want to say that. It's better now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Danielle demands better chicken wings in Southern Oregon.
When I was here, I was like, we were here for a couple years. We decided to stay longer, and I'm like, honey, I really think we need to think about opening a wing place.
Hey, maybe that's your next project.
That's my true calling.
Where's the best place you've ever had chicken
My
wings?
favorite place is Wingstop. And it's, I don't know where it all is. It's in Reno. It's in Las Vegas.
Okay.
It's good.
Well, maybe Wingstop can come
It's
up
got
to
good
Medford.
fries. A lot of blue cheese.
Let's start a petition.
Is there an entrepreneur listening? Now's the time.
Open up Wingstop. You'll have your very favorite customer, Danielle Craig. Thank you so much for being
Thank
here.
you for having me.
And listen to her podcast. It's called Happiness and Progress, and you can listen to it wherever you listen to your podcasts, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. If you're listening to this podcast on iTunes and you like it, please subscribe, rate, and review. It helps other people find us. We're also on Google Play, and you can ask your Alexa app to open up OffScript. You can check out the video portion of this podcast at ktvl.com. Just click on features and then OffScript. Once again, Danielle Craig, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.